Why did you do that? He was a gift from my father. How could you? Are you even human? What did he ever do to you? I asked, crying with my grip tight on her neck as I pushed her against the ground. YN, let her go, Songjin urged, trying to pull me away. No, I won't, I shouted, holding on to her firmly. Soon, some guards arrived, attempting to pull me away from her, but my grip remained tight. I was extremely angry to let go of her. Suddenly, I felt strong wrapped around me, pulling me away. My hold around her neck loosened. Let me go, I said, irritated, struggling to free myself. Suddenly, a sharp slap landed on my cheek, sending shivers down my spine. I turned around to see ... It was Jungkook. Jungkook, I mumbled softly in surprise. And there was silence for a while. Tears rolled down my eyes. I could not believe he just slapped me.
Mary, take care of Mom. Call the doctors if needed, Jungkook said, pulling me upstairs. Reaching the room, he roughly shoved me to the floor and locked the door behind us. I could feel his anger. What were you thinking, YN? Is this how you treat her? She's my mother, he yelled angrily. Jungkook, it was your mom's. I tried to explain, but he cut me off. I don't want to hear any excuses. Just think, how would you feel if I treated your mom that way? He yelled in anger. And now, instead of apologizing, you're trying to justify yourself? Keep your justifications to yourself. I don't want to hear them, he said, his anger escalating even more. You're all for show. You pretend to be good on the outside, but inside, you're ugly and dirty, he added, his tone filled with hatred towards me. I couldn't hear any longer. Tears streamed down my face. You never try to understand me. It's always about your business and family. Have you ever considered my feelings? Have you seen how your mother and sister treat me? I'm just a wife you brought home because your father told you to. You don't care about me. Do you realize how they treat me after your father's death? I'm exhausted. You're away for months and months. You left just a week after our marriage, and this is the first time you've been home in 1.5 years. I get that you have work, but you hardly ever call or talk to me. Even when I call you, our conversations are short. It's like you're not interested in me. I feel so worthless. You know nothing about how I get treated here. I know V had an arranged marriage and you probably don't love me, but please don't make me feel useless and unimportant. I can't continue living like this. I can't take it anymore, I said, breaking into sobs. I don't think I was wrong in slapping you, he said in a harsh and angry tone.
On returning home after months, the first thing that I see is you pushing my mom to the floor and attempting to suffocate her by gripping her neck. How can you just expect me to understand you? He shouted angrily, throwing the glass vase in anger. Uncle Zoe was humble and honest. I agreed to marry you because I thought you would be like him. But shame on you, YN, he said, walking away. No one here understands me, I thought, breaking down into tears. I heard a knock on the door as I was lost in my thoughts. Come in, I said, quickly wiping my tears away. The door opened, and Peter and Mary entered. Pack everything quickly, Peter instructed Mary. Turning towards me, he said, Ma'am, please get dressed. We are relocating. Relocating? But why? I asked, taken aback.
I'm not sure about the details. It's an order from the boss,
he replied. In just 15 minutes, they packed up all my belongings and began carrying them out. Could you tell me what's going on? Where are we going? I inquired anxiously.
Please get in the car, ma'am,
Peter said. I sat inside, and soon we were driving away. As the car started moving, I noticed Jungkook's mother and sister smirking with satisfaction. As I stepped out of the car, I found myself in front of a grand mansion. I was totally confused. I entered the house and saw Jungkook waiting for me. His stern expression didn't give any hints about what was going on. This is a well-furnished bungalow. You'll be staying here from now on. I don't trust you to keep you anywhere near my mom anymore, he stated firmly, with hatred in his eyes. I stood silent. I didn't want to explain my side of the story anymore. I was angry and sad. I was tired of carrying the weight of this one-sided relationship. Do you want to say something? He asked in his same firm voice. No, I said softly, making my way towards the room where Peter had placed my bags. I could sense his frustration building up, hearing my cold words. "Fine, then. There are maids. They'll assist you with anything you need," he said, walking out in anger. He then got into the car and drove away, leaving me standing there, feeling abandoned and on the brink of tears. I ran into my room and closed the doors behind me. I collapsed onto the bed and gave in to my tears that I was holding back. My life was beautiful and peaceful, even though I belonged to a mafia family. My dad had always kept me shielded from the world of crime. I grew up in a seemingly normal environment. However, things took a turn when I was in my last year of college. Dad was diagnosed with the last stage of cancer. As I was his only family, he became concerned about my future. He knew that I was inexperienced in dealing with the mafia world. After him, I would easily become the target for rival mafias. Therefore, to ensure my safety, he arranged a marriage for me with Jungkook, the son of Dad's best friend and mafia partner. Due to Dad's critical condition, I couldn't refuse the marriage proposal. I went ahead and married Jungkook, but I continued to stay with my dad. I wanted to cherish every moment I had left with him. After my father's death, when I was left all alone, it was Uncle John who stood by my side. As Jungkook was away on a mission, Uncle John took me to his house. He took proper care of me. He even got me a little puppy so that I don't feel lonely when he goes for work. I named him Goro. It was Uncle John's fatherly love that helped me overcome my grief. When Jungkook returned from his mission, I moved in with him to his house. Though Jungkook was a cold person, he did care for me. Everything was going fine. We started talking and a little friendship started developing between us. However, our world was shaken by the tragic news of Uncle John's death. It was a murder by rivals. To ensure my safety, Jungkook dropped me at his mother and sister's place while he embarked on a journey of revenge. That was the last time I saw him personally. After that, he busied himself in revenge and business, and he completely forgot about me. We did talk on the phone, but it was very formal and cold. It seemed as if he was not at all interested in me. As time passed, the gap between us continued to widen. Days turned into months, and months eventually turned to a whole year. But Jungkook did not return, and I found myself stuck between his mother and sister. Initially, they appeared to love me, but their true colors began to emerge over time. Mom and Songjin began mistreating me. Mom restricted me from going out of the house. I didn't want to create a scene, so I accepted her rules. After a few days, she told me to start cooking for myself, as the maids would only cook for them. This really was a kind of bullying. I had never cooked in my life, but just to keep the peace of the house, I decided to cook my own meal. But they did not stop there. Despite so many maids around, Songjin would ask me to put her dirty clothes into the machine. I was being treated like a maid. They found reasons to criticize me every day. I started feeling depressed, spending hours locked in my room, crying. Goro was the only one in the whole house that would sit beside me and comfort me, otherwise I had no one, absolutely no one to talk and share my problems with. I did not tell Jungkook about all this mistreatment, because we only talked for a short time and we did not have a bond where we talked our hearts out. Our relationship was just a formality. Yesterday, things took a turn for the worse when Songjin's friends came over. There was this guy named Clark who started being touchy. I made it clear that I wasn't interested, yet he continued flirting cheesily. Annoyed, I slapped him to get him to stop. Clark left right away, embarrassed by the slap. However, Mom and Songjin didn't take it well. They did not believe that Clark was making me uncomfortable, nor did they care to listen to my side of the story. Instead, they questioned my upbringing and character. In their conversation, they brought up my dad's upbringing. This really angered me, and for the first time, I couldn't stay silent. I spoke up and defended my dad. This escalated into an argument, and in the heat of the moment, I pushed Mom to the floor. This increased their anger towards me, and Songjin started forcefully dragging me out of the house, pulling me by my hair. I was helpless. In the midst of this chaos, Goro, my dog, started barking and fighting back against Songjin for me. Irritated by his constant barking and fighting Songjin, Mom, in a fit of rage, grabbed a vase and struck Guro on the head. Guro fell quiet on the floor and began to bleed. There was silence for a moment. I managed to break free from Songjin's grip, picked him up, and rushed to the hospital. At hospital, he was immediately taken to the operating room as he had sustained severe head injury. The operation was 2 hours long. I stayed by his side throughout the night, praying for his recovery. In the morning, the doctor re-examined him and then informed me that Guro was now out of danger, but he still needed to be kept under observation. I returned home filled with anger and hatred. My emotions were running wild. Unable to hold my frustration any longer, I caught Mom by her neck and started confronting her. It was at this moment that Jungkook unexpectedly arrived. He didn't allow me to explain my actions and judged the situation based on what he saw. I am at the verge of breaking, and I needed him to hold me, but all he did was separate me from himself into this big, lonely house. Thinking about my life, I didn't realize when I fell asleep, but I woke up to the sound of strong winds rattling my window. It was dark night and there was a powerful storm was raging outside. I walked downstairs, only to find an empty house. No maids, no guards. There was all silence with the scary sound of the wind rattling the windows and the distant rumble of thunder. "Is anyone here?" I called out, scared. No one answered my call, so I decided to step out of the house to look for the gatekeeper and the other guards. However, as soon as I stepped outside, the door slammed shut behind me. It was the maid. I could hear her. Why would she lock me out? Confusion filled me. "Hey, open the door!" I shouted, banging on the door. But there was no response. I searched for the guards and security personnel, but there was no one in sight. Soon, cold wind started growing stronger and lightning and thunder followed. "Open the door!" I yelled again, my voice carried away by the wind, but my pleas fell on deaf ears. Then suddenly the rain began to pour. "Open the door, please, I beg you,"
I said, pleading, drenched and shivering in rain from both the cold and despair. But there was no response, so I finally gave in and sat on the doorstep, trembling.
This is the end of the chapter. Stay tuned for next chapters. Thank you for watching. Turn on your notifications for next update. Hope you have a good day ahead. Take care. See ya.